The owner of the now defunct Castle Builders in Union appeared virtually in a Knox County courtroom this morning. 58-year-old Malcolm Stewart and his wife were ordered to pay nearly $750,000 to former customers as a result of a civil lawsuit. Stewart was indicted in March of 21 for 2 counts of theft by deception. One was for taking money for work, and he's accused of not intending to perform the projects. The other is for requesting money for the company and misleading investors. Assistant Attorney General Charles Boyle represented the state. He and defense attorney David Bobrow shared their arguments.
On the motion to dismiss, it is in fact the state's argument that these were 2 different schemes. The thefts rested on 2 different deceptions. Yes, there are common victims across both counts, but in count 1, Mr. Stewart was telling his victims that he was going to perform work that he knew he could not or would not perform and took money.
The issue is, I'm not suggesting the government hasn't provided full discovery. What I'm stating is they haven't identified in that discovery which specific claims they are relying upon that suggest that my client committed fraud.
Bobrow argued that the criminal case against his client should be dismissed. The judge will issue a ruling at a later date. Stewart remains free on bail and resides in South Carolina.